Hi, everyone. Sarah Barker with Connect Our Elders, and I have Tina Buchanan, the CEO and founder of Visionary Care Consultants. Today, she is going to educate you on some red flags, triggers, areas to look for, whatever you want to call it. But basically, what to look for to determine if your loved one or your client may benefit from a care manager. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Sarah. So I love this topic because it's very straightforward, right? So today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should reach out to a care manager. The first one that comes to mind is a client or a family member that you know is bouncing in and out of the hospital. Mm-hmm. So they're constantly going to the doctor. They're constantly at the ER for falls or infection. It could be any sort of emergency, but they're bouncing in and out of multiple systems, and they maybe have multiple doctors that you're trying to coordinate services with. What happens when someone goes into the hospital is sometimes they get lost in the shuffle and they don't always know, especially if the patient's going in alone. We saw this a lot during COVID. There was no family members there to be able to speak to who the doctors are, who the specialists are, things like that. And so things get lost in communication, and the doctors aren't necessarily all able to communicate with each other for whatever reason. So that's number one, is if there's multiple doctors or hospitalizations. The second one is if you are trying to navigate something for an elder loved one or a client whose family lives out of town. We have so many clients who their children or their loved one, their power of attorney maybe, lives in another state. San Diego is there's a lot of transplants here. And there's a lot of older adults who stay here, but their children leave to go find work elsewhere, or they travel. And so we often find that most of the time, probably about half the time actually, our clients live here, maybe not alone, maybe they have caregivers in the home, but son or daughter or power of attorney is flying out here weekly, monthly, every 6 months to help navigate things for them. And what's interesting is before we get involved in cases, we hear stories of them saying, oh yeah, my mom said everything was fine and the bills were paid and she's doing really well. And then I show up and I find out the bank account is overdrawn. The house is a disaster. She seems more confused than she was originally stating. So clients that have family out of town is probably another big thing to look for, because we save them time and money, and we know the resources here. They don't know how to navigate it. So that would be number 2. Number 3, I would say if your clients, your loved ones are navigating some sort of mental health or behaviors related to dementia. These are situations in that oftentimes they're either living in a boarding care, assisted living, memory care, or they're at home and they usually have caregivers in place. Maybe they don't yet, but the caregivers are not well-versed, or even family caregivers, right, are not well-versed in behaviors related to mental health issues and dementia. So if your loved one is starting to have bizarre behaviors, it could be wandering, it could be agitation at night, which we call sundowning. These are some big reasons to look for a care manager, because we have the resources to help you get the right either medication or therapy, or sometimes it's even just an engagement program, right? With our thoughtful engagement, or we can send them out to a day program where they're engaged with other people. So that's number 3. Number 4, I would say, is if your loved one is having a lot of falls, right? So, or a client, they are constantly falling. These are the clients that won't go to the doctor, right? So they're kind of the opposite of the ones that are bouncing in and out. Unless they have a fracture or something happens, they're not going to the hospital. But these are the ones that are most likely the most independent and living alone, and their safety and their environment is causing all of these falls. And these clients are independent with their ADLs. They do their own driving. They do their own doctor's appointments. They're navigating everything themselves. And they, in their mind, are super independent, but they're having multiple falls, right? Maybe they are burning things on the stove. So we have a lot of clients who are independent with their ADLs, but they really just need to figure out what's causing these falls and their inability to cook for themselves. We can come in and bring in resources for them so that they can live independently at home.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think it's important to point out that a care manager's role is not to take away the elder's independence. And I will tell families often what the care manager is doing is to make sure that they can facilitate the independence of the elder for as long as possible.
It's a huge, we're dealing with a generation of people who have lived through oftentimes the depression, things that we can't even imagine. And they are used to being independent. They want to save their money. They want to age in place, right? And they just need help navigating that. And they don't know how to do it on their own. So I would definitely say that's number 4 is those clients who are super independent, but they're having these falls, they're burning food, they are, some safety things, and they want to age in place. We're definitely appropriate for them. And then number 5, what I would say is that if you are a client yourself, an older adult, or a referral partner, and you're working with a client who has no family at all, we have a lot of solo seniors that have never been married or had children, or they're estranged from their families. This is a very appropriate time, and this is a red flag to go, we should probably get a care manager involved, because who is going to advocate for that person? Who's going to educate them? Who's going to pick up the phone and say, Joe needs help? Only themselves or the referral partners are going to do that for them because they have no family. So we have some clients who we are their emergency contact for everything because they don't have anyone else.
And I would say to protect. Is a very real issue, whether it's neglect, physical abuse, financial elder abuse, right? So if this person, if you have an elder that has no family or is estranged from family, has nobody else, you definitely need to reach out and get a care manager involved to ensure not only, quality of life and safety, but to ensure that that elder is protected against any form of elder abuse.
Definitely. Well, we're all about protection and advocacy.
Yes, absolutely. Tina, that was very, very informative. And I think that what we'll do, we'll do another video to talk about some other signs that people should look for, because I know that wasn't really an all-inclusive list, but that was definitely some 5 key areas that everybody needs to be looking at. Thank you.
Thank you.